Good evening, my good friends. How are you all doing this evening? Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Mike at Night. Ah, boy, I tell you, we're here. Let me see who's outside of there. I want to welcome all of you here. Joy! Alright, Joy, I know your phone was down. I realize you get it back now. Thank you very much. Candice Alexander. Hey, my boy Kenneth Hodge Chef. Kenneth, boy, I really sorry. Last week, let me tell you, I was in St. Lucia speaking in a family life program, and my intention was to give notice that we would not have had a mic at night and we would have done a rerun. But lateness in me, I rushed out and I forgot clean to post the rerun because I was late for the event. So while I'm up on stage speaking, then I saw Kenneth Hodge's call coming in. But I couldn't respond, Kenneth. But I appreciate your diligence and your making sure that you know what's going down and so on. But we're here today. You see, I start early to make sure I make up for that. Nicely. Frida Leaks, good evening. Let the US come inside, man. Everybody, when you come in, let us know where you're calling from. This is Mike at Night. And this is how we do it. This is how we do it on Thursdays. Every Thursday around now, generally 8 o'clock EST time, we sit down and we talk some real life issues. Some things that sometimes we call taboo, we don't want to deal with in public, but what we try to do is just make it real. Just make it real. Lawrence Flement, you're late for class, my boy. Don't walk in class anytime here. You could see he wasn't a very good boy when he was in school, you know. He was a bad boy. Yeah? You look like you used to break beach, walk in when you want. Nah, don't do that. Alright. Nicely, my people. So, we try to deal with some of the topics that people ignore, they take for granted, they shy away from, and so on. But we feel that we need to educate the public and educate our people on what's really going on in society and how to deal with certain things. Sex happens to be one of those subjects that we don't like really to talk about, but that we need to be able to speak on generally. And that is what we're going to talk about tonight. You might have to put some of the children to bed because the direction we're going, we might not be able to. You understand? Alright? So, let me see if we have people on, ready to go. Right. Share the live. And if you're not subscribed as yet, please subscribe and be part of it. Didan Daniel, you contract these demons if you have multiple partners. Sex is spiritual too. Alright, well, Didan, well, share. Be free to post your share there or to call in and share your ideas about these multiple sexual partners. We would love to hear from you and that. Alright, so I was reading a very interesting article about, in fact, somebody wrote a book. Hooked is the name of the book. The Bonding Power of Sex. You should get that book. Hook, the bonding power of sex. When we have young people engaging in sex, thinking that because they're 15, 16, 17, they're old enough, and we expose them to sex. I hear that there's sex in school at 12 years old, etc. But the person who wrote this particular article said that as a gynecologist, OBGYN, obstetrics and gynecological clinic, that this woman brought in her 14-year-old daughter to have a checkup. And then they realized that at 14 years old, the young lady is indeed sexually active. So when they're now going back into the girl's history, this is 14 years old, they're going back into the girl's history, they found out that she was having sex since she was 12 years old. Yes? So between 12 and 14, in 2 years' time, see if you could guess how many sexual partners this 14-year-old girl had in 2 years between 12 and 14. I will wait for you. I will wait for you all to tell me. What do you think? Give me a reasonable, rational number. Alright? You all tell me. I'm waiting on all. Reason, and remind me to play a video for you all before we finish. Reasonable, rational number. If a girl starts sex at 12, this girl in particular, and by 14, she is now going for a checkup, and then they finding out that she is sexually active. How many sexual partners do you think she has? Alright? Timothy Benjamin, good evening. You also late, my boy. Alright, Frida Leak says she's had 6 sexual partners. Okay, thank you very much for that. Okay, anybody else? 6 is a reasonable number, so I'll admit that. So thank you for that. Who else want to hazard a guess? How many sexual partners did this girl who started sex at 12 and is now 14 and went in to get a checkup with her mother? How many sexual partners did she have in between 12 and 14? Those on YouTube, you could afford to give your comments to it. Hey, Kwaku, how are you doing? It could possibly be that she is in a committed relationship and only had sex with the one dude. Being optimistic here. Nice, Kwaku. Thank you for trying to be optimistic. Lyndon, boy, I tell you, boy, you just walk in here. I think you're becoming regularly late, Lyndon Duffield. I'm waiting for people to tell me how many sexual partners did this 12-year-old girl have between she's 12 and 14. She's at the time 14 when she's going for the checkup. Alright? You all tell me. Oh, this thing is hot. Mercy. Yeah. Only Frida Leaks dare to answer. You all can't make a guess? What kind of thing is that? Alright, I will put you all out of your misery. I will put you out of your misery. According to the goodly doctor, the girl between 12 years old and 14 years old has already covered 14 sexual partners when they sat down with her and interrogated her. 4. So Frida Leaks, you didn't even come half when you said 6. Yeah? But here's what the young lady said. She only have sex with her boyfriend, nobody else. So she does not think she is promiscuous. She is of the opinion that she is still being morally upright because she does not have sex with somebody who is not her boyfriend. Upon further questioning, they found out that she is right. She only has sex with her boyfriend. 14 of them. So she thinks because she has had them at different times, not together, that she's not promiscuous. She changes boyfriend quite easily. And we're going to talk about the impact of that. We're going to talk about the impact of that sex and multiple sex partners that people are pushing now and saying that we are entitled to work. You know, the feminists now saying they're entitled to work and sex is a work and they should legalize that work. Well, I'll take it. Take it as you see it. Alright, so 14. The mother brought in the girl and telling the doctor. The mother is not concerned about she has 14 in her. the mother is concerned for the doctor to guide her daughter so that she does it safely. You all heard me? Or you didn't hear me? The mother wants to know and wants the doctor to guide her daughter to do her sex life safely. Lyndon say 25. Well, Lyndon, you're more than double it. Alright, Lawrence's word can only be answered by the girl. Well, no, because it has shown that many 12-year-olds and 13 and 14-year-olds have had that number of sexual encounters already. Many of them, not all of them, not all of them. And those who do not are made to feel guilty that they are not. They're not having sex and they're not having many sexual partners. They are laughed at. So what they do, they try to carry up the body count. Alright? So that is that. So as far as she's concerned, it's okay. So if you do the maths, check out when she's 18 years old, how many she's going to have. If in 2 years she's had 14, tell me by the time she's 18, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 4 years, how many persons she would have had sex with if she continues at that rate. And by the time she's ready to settle down and married, by 21 years old or 22 years old and she wants to get married, how many people would have passed through? Yeah? So, it is important for us to talk to our people, talk to our young people, both the boys and the girls, and help them to understand that this thing is no joking matter. Because you could become hooked on sex. And I will explain what I mean by that. You could become addicted to the act of sex, that you would end up wanting it from anywhere. And I'm talking about both boys and girls, men and women. So, because parents find it difficult to talk to their children about sex, and sometimes because the parents themselves have had multiple sexual partners, they feel hypocritical trying to tell their child, don't do that, when they have had it. Because some of these parents who want to talk to their children, those children know that my brother and my sister and my next brother and my sister, all of us have different fathers. So they know. So it makes it hard for some parents to actually guide the children, because the children may very well throw it back in their face. So we have to help them to understand restraining, and this is my respectful view now, resisting and restraining themselves from sexual activity before marriage has some very big dividends to pay in a relationship. And this guidance needs to be given from the parent standpoint, because some parents really don't want their other children making the same mistakes, but they don't know how to guide them. Right? So, sexually transmitted diseases is a reality. And that, in today's day, is playing Russian roulette. And I hope young people are listening, and I hope some of the adults listening also. But there are some emotional and physical risks that people take whenever they engage in all of these sexual activities with so many people outside of marriage. And let's give you why we're saying so, why I'm saying so. Alright? Let me just check to see where people are at in the chat. I don't want to miss anybody who might be sharing some stuff. Just remember, call somebody and tell them to listen in. Call some of them teenagers and listen in. Marcia Saunders, good evening. Rock and come in. Yes, Kenneth Hodge. For them, some of them is socks and underwear that you change every day. Good evening, Josiane. Josiane, girl, I look out for you. You disappoint me so much when I was in St. Lucia. I look out for you like that. I look out for you more than I look out for your husband. I look out for him too. But because I spoke to you, I more look out for you. Tell him I say so. Anyway, let me continue. So, let's talk about what happens when sex takes place. Why we become hooked on sex. When two people are having sex, there's a hormone that is deposited called dopamine. Dopamine is this hormone that makes a person want to repeat an act, want to repeat something they did. You went, you did associate degree, and you feel, hey, this associate degree feel nice. I think I want to go for my degree. It wants you to repeat something because you heard the clap when you went across the stage. You heard your parents screaming from the hall and so on. It makes you want to repeat the act. That is dopamine that does that. Dopamine is what a teenager gets. A teenager, when he drives a car and he tries to see how fast the car could go and he feels that rush of air. Dopamine makes him want to try it again and again and again. And sometimes that's how some of them crash, because it feels good. Dopamine, however, is the same hormone that is deposited into a person. It's the same thing they are that they are using whenever they take drugs. You heard me right. Dopamine makes somebody want to take another hit and another hit. So you may go to a function and somebody say smoke this, drink this, and so on, and you tell yourself it's one night, it's my birthday, I just go to enjoy myself, and you take it. But you feel something inside of you. Dopamine has taken a hold, and the next time you want to try it again, and before you know it, you are hooked. In sex, dopamine is deposited. And sometimes a person could get so hooked on sex that they want to feel the same orgasm, the same expression of excitement over and over again. And the more they do it, they want to find it from different people. That's how some of them find it in multiple partners. In the men, there is a chemical, a hormone that is called vasopressin, which is called the love hormone. So this love hormone makes a man feel committed, protective. It brings out that protection and ownership sense in him, because he enjoyed the sex with this woman and he makes almost a connection with her. So dopamine makes him want to repeat it, and vasopressin makes the man in particular feel as though he needs to be in this girl's life, and she's mine. I need to protect her. I need to commit myself to her. But sometimes it is so strong in a teenage mind that is immature. It's not that many of the teenagers are wicked, dirty, and bad. It's not that. Their mind is immature, because maturity in a person's mind starts in mid-20s, about 25 years old. So when somebody at 12 years old having sex and making decisions that they don't understand the true import of those decisions, they are going to make more catastrophic decisions and consequences in their life, because the brain cannot process it. 25 years old, is it? I don't know why is it we have it at 18, but all right, we continue. So picture now vasopressin inside of a guy's mind. He's 13 years old, 14 years old. Even if it is a big man, he's 20, 30, 40 years old, and he feels this protective method. This method that he seems as though he has to now take charge, and then find out that she has another man. You know what has caused some of them men to now go and kill and maim and murder and commit suicide? Because some of them, the brain got addled. I'm telling you. So I hope that you all have your young people listening, because if not, let them listen this replay after. Alright, Rose Petal, good evening. Nice having you. Josan, I'm going to take the apology this time, but I'm telling you, I was really disappointed. I wanted to see. Alright, but anyway. Lyndon said he knows somebody at age 28. She was a grandmother at 28. Wow. What could you tell your child at 28? Because 28 is when you just become an adult. Because you become an adult psychologically at 25, roughly. So you have 2 years as an adult to now take care of a grandchild. Anyway. Didan says, each sexual partner leaves an imprint on one's energy field which may affect future relationships and spiritual growth. I am with Didan on that. I with you, my boy. Samantha James, rock and come in. Have a seat. Sit down in the class. Josanne says she heard parents said that it is better to teach protection. Yeah, I've heard that, Josanne, unfortunately. Let them, because they will have the sex anyway. So let them get the condom. You're actually, would you tell your child that you're going to put in airbags in the car because they're going to speed anyway? Knowing the impact, knowing the results of speeding at 120 miles an hour? Why is it we're telling them, just wear protection, just put on your seatbelt? But you're going to speed, so put on your seatbelt, eh? That's not guidance, that's not parenting. Yeah, and we just today on news, you listen back the US news. A mother bought her son war rifle or ammunition and gun. Bought him fatigue, the clothes to wear for war and so on. Fully well knowing he planned to go and shoot up his school. But bought it still for him because she says it was the agreement they made for him to watch his siblings. What madness is that? What madness is that? Hud says that all decisions will be based on sound information. Absolutely. Alright, so Kwaku, when you say what do I recommend? What do I recommend for what? Which one of the areas that we discussed are you talking about? What do I recommend to stop people from having multiple sexual partners? Is that the question? Or what do I recommend for parents dealing with children who having sex early? Just clarify for me, because the show has a delay. What I say in your ears, I would have said it and gone on to other things after in the live where I am. Okay, so it's important for people to just speak specifically as to what they're referring to whenever they're referring. Alright, nice day. Okay. So, vasopressin, dopamine combination is what affects so many teenagers and so many adults. But I want to tell you about some of the impact of having it, because it gives you excitement of the sex and so on, and that heavy download and outpouring of dopamine into the brain. It is good when it is married couple, because that is how they end up now going after each other, wanting each other, desiring each other, and then having children and so on. So in that context, You might call me biased. In that context, it works well. Although sometimes when in a marriage you're enjoying the sex, your partner don't want to give it often, even though you want it again and again and again. But that's a next story. But for the unmarried people, the unmarried children I'm really talking about here, it makes the person want to repeat the sexual act. And that is what exposes them to diseases and also gives them the same addiction as they get addicted to drugs. One young lady told me that she feels almost difficult when she feels for sex not to take it from where she can get it. Yep. So, another thing that teens don't understand and adults is that intercourse that brings us this emotional attachment that Didan spoke about when they're having intercourse. That attachment lasts for a lifetime, you know. You think back of the first time you had sex with somebody, that first dopamine hit that you got. The brain has what is called receptors. The nerve in the brain or these brain cells come together, and there's a space between the two brain cells called a synapse. That is the space between the two. That synapse is where it jumps information across from one to the next. So that synapse has in it what we call oxytocin, that feel good hormone that makes you feel good. And when you find that oxytocin and vasopressin and so on, those hormones make the personally feel emotionally high with just one sex act. Yeah. So in relationships, that's your reward that makes you keep going over and over again. You know, you had sex, you feel good, and you tell yourself, hey, I had my belly full, I had enough. One day or 2 days later, the desire comes rushing all back again, and you want another one. So oxytocin and vasopressin and all of that mixing up inside of the. So you become attached and addicted and bonded to each other. It was God's intention that the first person you have sex with, you would have been bonded with and live with the rest of your life. But what does God know? After all, He's just the creator. What does He know when we are brighter than He is? That we know that is boring. 14 body counts makes more sense, God. Ah, boy. Be not deceived. God is never mocked. Alright? So, children are brought into this world, and we bond with them. We care for them. They grow up, and then they bond with their husbands, their wives, and they make children, and that bonding experience continues. But if the person is 14 years old, if the person has multiple partners and is an adult, what happens is that junction called the synapse that has been used so often to send a message, after a while you find that it weakens, that it does not give you the bonding. So you have multiple partners and you bond with none because it is weakened, firing too often in too many places. So sex becomes a transaction and not love making. So you could have a guy have sex with a girl and feel nothing for her, but he would enjoy the sex. A girl could have a body count 20 something, 30 something, 40 something men. One girl who I was reading about, she said she has had 60 men that she had sex with, which means she had a diary and a calculator, a spreadsheet, Excel spreadsheet on her sexual partners. 60. And you ask yourself, how come relationships don't last? Because there's no bonding that takes place. I'm telling you. No bonding that takes place because we've had too many sexual partners to bond with anybody. And why is it people get married and soon after want to divorce? It's because there's no bonding to your husband, no bonding to your wife, no bonding to the family, no bonding taking place. The glue water down. That is what happened. All you hearing me? All you with me? Alright, let me see what you all saying on here. As a viable solution for parents dealing with sexual active kids. The viable solution is to teach the kids to hold up on it. You're not ready. If my child thinks that he's going to do if I have a girl who wants to do trapeze or one of these things, the one that they do the flip, I see my grandchildren want to do flip over the head, and I just feel that they're too young for that. They could deal with that a bit older. But I'm not just going to say I want to now allow you to be able to do it, and next thing you know you break your neck. That is too adult. So I'm saying, Ms. Kwaku, that as parents, that's what we are there for. To mature the child, to let the child know that there are some things, not all things, but there are some things not age appropriate. Sex happens to be one of that. So the best way to be able to do that is to convince them to stop it. That's what I'm here for, why I'm telling people the negative impact from those who have researched it says about it. Now I'm going to know the naysayers who want to encourage this thing but say, nah, nothing is wrong with that. I went through it. I know people who go through that, have many sexual partners, and they have a good relationship going. Alright, I know people who take poison and still live, but are not going to recommend it just because some survive it. Hey, Charmaine, nicely. Thank you for joining us. Well, I know why you late. So, I'm not going to give you the lashes that I give Lyndon and Joanne and all of them. Kenneth Hodge calls it a mass transit system. It's sad when parents have to become enemies over sex, far less committing a crime over it. Right? That's why it's Marcia Saunders. Him know about that thing. Head Hodge. Joanna Peters, good evening. Alright, Kwaku, I hope that answer satisfied you, the one that I gave. Alright, there's a video I want to show you all, before I leave. Alright, so we said one, that children too young should not engage in sex. And in my recent trip to St. Lucia, I was talking with the young people there, the teenagers. And I was explaining to them, the daughter of a very close friend of mine came to me and was sharing with me her situation. The parents had asked her to talk with me. And she wanted to leave school because she felt school was boring. She felt that, she could do something better with her life than go to school and so on. She was about 16 years old. So I said, well, what skills do you have? She doesn't have any skill, but she doesn't like the idea of doing things that she don't like. Okay, so she didn't. Anyway, regardless of what I told her, she ignored it. But she eventually became pregnant. And in becoming pregnant, she gave birth, but died soon after. And from my understanding, her death from the doctors from what they are saying. Her body was not ready. It was not in a position to go through the rigors of childbirth. You all hear me there? She was not ready for childbirth. How to talk to all the children? As parents, don't think you have to pamper them and let them like everything that you see. Now, her mother has to take care of her child because now she's gone. Yep. So that boy that she bore, what happens now after that? Okay? That's the reality of life. Okay. Let me see what people are saying here. What is it? Alright, Heather said she was dealing with her son. Alright, Heather, we gonna take that. Sherry Ann, I want to see you Sunday. Eh? I was trying to call you, tell you things that are going on in church that I wanted to see you in. Get yourself together and come down. Alright. So Heather Atkins, thank you very much for joining us. I understand your situation. It's the slackers and them who just walk in here late. So let's talk about one of the reasons parents are so important in children's life. It's because the part of the brain that's called the executive part of the brain, for those who are doing the science, is prefrontal cortex. That is where you make good decisions, executive decisions. That is the part of the brain that balances things and say, listen, this is right, this is wrong, and so on. This part of the brain kicks in a bit later than the automatic brain that makes rash decisions. This prefrontal cortex has to be trained in order to make wise decisions. So, when we make those rational decisions, that is where dopamine attacks. So a good, bright child, a wise big man, and a sensible big woman goes and have sex with a set of different people, and that dopamine could cause that same person. You actually say, but these are churchmen, these are church women, these are politicians, these are so and so. How they making these decisions when it comes to partners and sex and so on? Because dopamine attacks the prefrontal cortex where you make wise decisions. So you now start making very bad decisions. Alright? But in a teenager, that is very detrimental. But parents, are you even aware? Can you even tell that your child having sex? Can you not tell? I feel that there's a way to tell, but some parents just don't want to broach the discussion. Right? So these adolescents need good parents to be able to lead them and help them out of it. So I hope that you all got some information from that. Right? If you have any questions, you could call. If you figure you have a child that need help, the number on top there, 868-480-0080. That's the number to call. We do private, confidential counseling, and sometimes people wait until it is too late. You don't want that. You do not want that at all. Alright. I want to share with you. Let me make sure I check to see if anybody has anything saying. Before I just share with you all a video that I want you to listen to. And after you listen to the video, let's talk. Or while the video is going on, post your comments. While it is going on. Don't wait until it is finished, because you wouldn't have time, because by the time I start to talk, the video will still be played on your side. So as you see something, say, and you notice anything, just give your feedback, give your comments, whether you agree or not agree, whether you question something or whatever it is, do that. Alright? Do you think the concept of being friends with children is acceptable? I think that if somebody make being a friend to your child priority, it's unacceptable. But I feel if somebody makes themselves a good parent, a loving, good parent, and make parenting their priority, they will be friends with their children. Because look at how many people grew up in homes that they at one time called strict and praise their parents after for managing them so that they don't end up at how some children end up by the wayside, in jail, on drugs, etc. Yes, Marcia, dopamine could get a person hooked real bad. But it can also make you hooked. There are some people, after they finish one exam, they go in and get an exam. Some people who are in sports, they win one race, they want to win a second race, they want to keep going on. That's dopamine too. So dopamine in the right place can cause you to want to repeat a good act. But dopamine in the wrong place. A guy stole once, and the first time he went and break in a person's house, he reaped $1,000. He had no money before. Dopamine hits him and says, hey, and I get away with it too. So he now breaks into a second house. This house had $5,000 and jewelry. Ooh. That is one night. Bank don't give you those kind of interest. Yep. And then now, before he knows it, breaking in the house, that dopamine rush of wanting to repeat things. And now, yesterday in one of the malls in Trinidad, the security shot and killed a young boy tragically. It is alleged that he was attempting to steal a car from a woman, and they shot him. But the police said he's known to the police. But the mother is on the street crying, poor lady, crying her heart out. And I saw some people writing on the post, was she crying when he was distressing other people? Those other parents were crying, but she wasn't. That's what other people say. I don't know. All right, Marcia, I get you. Lauren says children management skill needs to be taught to parents with teenage children from learn classes and church organizations. Yep, that's right. Alright, so let me let you all listen to a thing and write your comments while it is going on. Anything that comes out to you, write it. If you agree with something, say what you agree with. Because don't just write agree, because we would not know what you're agreeing to. You must say what you're agreeing to, that you hear with it. Alright? So
all women's private parts are the same. The end goal for men is to come. Why do they go about sleeping around with different women? Why can't they just stick to one woman when all private parts are the same? Is it not just to come? They can come. That is one crazy questions I get from a lot of beautiful young lady. They say all women's private part are the same, and that's the reason why I want to enlighten you guys. No, all private parts are not the same. The same way we have different faces, we have different brains, is the same way we have different private parts. They test differently. Yes. And let me also tell you something before we go into the inner matter. When it comes to sexual intercourse, test is not just by penetration. The way a woman tests is a combination of her courage, her cleanliness, her confidence, her personality, her aura. That is the combination of sexual intercourse. It's not just a private part, it's a complete persona. That is the reason why a man can pay 10,000 for this, and a man can pay 100 million for the same private part. It's the aura, it's the courage, it's the persona. It's not just about to come. If it's just about to come, why not? Why would men want to take their time? It's about value. It's about the complete package, not just penetration. Do you get that? So private part is not just the private part. It's a complete personality package. And that's why I always tell beautiful women, upgrade yourself. If you want to be sweet, if you want men to enjoy you, if you want men to crave for you, you will first of all build your complete persona. You will not focus on your private part. Do you know there are sometimes you speak? When you speak, a lot of men want to have something to do with you. Do you know that there are sometimes you walk, a lot of men want to have something to do with you. There are sometimes your brains. A man will say, if this woman can be this intelligent, what is she going to look like in bed? There are men who are psychosexual. They are only interested in you by what comes out here. They might not like you at first, but when you start speaking, they become attracted to you. Yes. So it's not just by your private parts. Then when we want to go into the inner, we want to now diversify in the private part. The private part is not the same. Number one, we have the widened private part and we have the tight private part. When your private part is wild, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are wayward. It's just like the way we have big boobs, and there are some girls that their boobs, they are virgins, but their boobs are sagged. Naturally saggy boobs, we have it. And we have girls who have been sleeping around, yet their boobs are still pointed. It's just our body system. A plus size private part cannot be the same as a slim girl's private part. It's not possible. A thick girl's private part cannot be the same as, come on, a dark girl's private part cannot be the same as a fair girl's private part. It's not possible. So we have the wide ones and we have the tight ones. And also we have the juicy private parts and we have the dry private parts. There are some women that are dry. Sometimes it could be different hormonal imbalance. Sometimes it could be, different stuff that can cause, private part dryness. And there's some women that are juicy. We call them the watermelon. You don't need to do anything. There's some women that you have to pour oil, granite oil, petrol, red oil, just to lubricate them. Even with the oil, they will still go dry. Do you know there's some women that cannot make love under AC? Because the moment the AC is on, it will be drying their private parts. Do you know that? And there are some women, SEO, hand dryer or hand album, they come more water. So these private parts, they differ. And from research, a lot of men prefer the watery private parts. They call it the juicy private part because a lot of men, to them, they say the enjoyment is the juice. The fact that when you go in, you don't need to stress. You don't need to touch too much because when a woman is juicy, you will not do plenty work. You will not do plenty work. Oh, you just go, just goes in. And there's this thing about a juicy private part. It's slimy, it's slippery. That's the friction. That's what makes the man enjoy it. Right? So they are not the same. A lot of women are going to say, oh, blessing, what if I have a dry private part? What do I do? What if I have a wide private part? See, your private part does not need to be tight because there are some men that are big, right? When a man is big down there, your private part is okay if he's wild because he can actually take it. It's just body. It doesn't make you less of a woman.
Sorry, I sometimes you have to find videos that do have the expletives and so on. And I felt that she brought out some good points. A bit X-rated. She was very graphic with her speech, but was real with it. So her point is that you could find, and she's speaking really to women. Your private part is not something that you could tell yourself that what you have somebody else has. And she was saying that a lot of women put so much emphasis on their private parts, but not recognizing that it also goes with your persona, who you are, and how you come across. Because you could find that a guy has a woman who is good in bed, very good in using a private part, but he feels disrespected. He feels dishonored, emasculated, criticized, and with all that private part, he doesn't desire it. And so another woman who is not as comely as that person is, not as beautiful as that person is, but shows respect and regard. And he says that private part. In fact, what turns on a man to that private part is the way the man feels about the woman, and not necessarily because it's a private part. He might use the private part, but he doesn't get connected to the woman. And if therefore we want to now encourage people to connect with people, it has got to be more than just private part. And that's the message I think that she was bringing out with that particular program. I hope that it helped you all and you all listened and pay attention. Okay. Let me see. We just have about a couple minutes again, and then we call that a wrap. All right. Heather Atkins says, very true when it comes to attraction. Some females believe it's all about sex, but some men are attracted to their intellect. Absolutely, Heather. Absolutely. And I wish that more women would understand that and stop flaunting this thing in the cameras on Facebook and on TV. It's not all about that. Yep, devalued. Hodge says. Okay. Let me get your feedback on the video. Hey, and let me welcome Jen Jack Lewis, listening from St. Vincent. Yeah, St. Vincent in the house. Thank you very much. I have some lovely people that exist in St. Vincent. So nice having you all. Okay, and I'm just trying to catch up. Alright. Oh, it says devalued. Alright. Some women use their private part as a bargaining chip. That is right. And there was a situation where a man came to collect his rent, and the bargaining chip, he was willing to work with the bargaining chip. At least that is what I understand. From the news story, he was willing to use the rent, forego the rent, waive the rent, if she will give him something. I understand it is alleged that she might have given him something, or he took it. She claims that he took it. And then she reported it after. So, I don't know. Didan, you should bottle that and sell it. Didan said, just yesterday I let a woman know the most sexiest part of a woman is between her ears. That's right. I don't know why they're putting so much of the body parts on the outside. That's not the most sexiest for a man. For a serious man, that's not the most sexiest part. For a serious, high valued man, is her intelligence, and not talking about academics, her intelligence, ability to think, the standards she holds, the respect she has, that is the most beautiful thing about a woman. And then he now sees every other part. So so look at that, eh? And that's something that a man who is serious recognizes this woman, thinks at a high level. This woman has standards, morals, and she has respect for him. And her body now becomes very attractive to him. Instead of the other way around, where the body is attractive. But there are times you watch at some entertainers, they're not very good looking, them not very handsome men, some of them, but he's ugly, but his money makes him look attractive. So that goes the other way around for some people. Why there are so many instances men are as being the worst thing on two legs? That's a dogma that some people have perpetrated. It is the interest of some people to let men look as though they are the worst things on two legs, and men themselves have not been doing much to prove that wrong by our behavior. I hope you got that answer, my boy Chef. Master Saunders, Mike, you hit the nail on the head, but I also put some of the blame on some, and I say some men, when they make some women believe they are best lookers and they have witchy attitude, men need to let them know it. You know, there's a Jamaican artist saying pretty face and bad character. Yeah, there's some of them with pretty face and bad character. Lawrence says absolutely true. It's used by most women in and out of marriage as power over men. Yes, it is. Like seal. Joanne, I don't understand what you mean like seal. Seal. Clarify that for me, Joanne. I'm not sure what she was referring to. It had to be something we said earlier. Alright, my people. Looks as though we're coming down to the top of the hour. Not that it looks like it. We are down to the top of the hour. I hope I made up for my indiscretion last week when I did not have the program and some of you all were looking out for it. Again, my apology, my humblest apology. I was enjoying 1 week of family life in St. Lucia, doing a program there and speaking to men, women, married, single, young people, night after night. It was I enjoyed myself tremendously. The people there are great, and I planned to have run a rerun for Thursday, but in my lateness rushing to the event, it slipped me until when I was on the stage, on the rostrum, on the pulpit, delivering, when I got calls from people, and then I realized, oh my goodness, but I was not in a position to now send the rerun. Seal. He has a huge scar on his face. Seal is that the name of a person? I'm not really good with all of these people. Seal isn't handsome, but his wife was. Okay. I didn't realize it was the name of a person. I'm sorry. I'm not very okura. But from what Charmaine is saying, he's not a very handsome fella. Respecting, saying thank you for the simplest thing he does, and complimenting your man is something that's a turn on for him as well. He was married for a popular, beautiful star. Alright, Jose, I now get it. I must look it up. Okay, people, thank you very much. I appreciate Hodge for accepting my apology. Next week, we're going to have more from Mike at Night. And let me say that I'm looking forward to being with the people in Curacao this week, and I should be back in time for the program for next week, Thursday. I'm doing a leadership program in Curacao with the executives of electricity companies across the Caribbean, CEOs and presidents and financial officers. And I'm really looking forward for that session that we're going to be having with those people. And I'm speaking on the subject of leveraging relationship with disruptive leadership, yet compassionate leadership. That's what it is. Alright? So, you'll hear more about that. God bless you all. See you all next time, Thursday. God's willing. See you later.